Hi, I'm Joe Adams, Executive Director of Sweetwater Springs Senior Living, and we want to welcome you and City TV to Sweetwater Springs. We've got Chris, our chef here, who is going to demonstrate a good old Southern meal for you, and we want to just invite you out anytime you'd like to. We've been part of the community for 15 years. Anytime you'd like to stop by, take a tour, and try some of Chris's good cooking out, we invite you. So, Chris, tell us what you're going to do today.
Well, today we're going to do our southern food since we're in the South, and we're going to refine it a little bit, and we're going to do a restaurant style of a classic southern dish. We're going to do some pork, what you would normally see a pork chop and applesauce. We're going to do a pork loin with a spiced applesauce over a apple cider collard greens.
Sounds good. I'm not a good cook, so I'm going to leave it to you.
All right.
Actually, I'm a great cook.
All right, so first thing we're going to do is get started on our sauce, and we're going to make a homemade applesauce to go on top of our pork. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to cook our apples down. These are just peeled, de-seeded, and everything. And these are going to take just about 10 minutes or so to cook. And while these are getting started, all we're going to add to this is an apple cider. Nothing but apple juice, and we're going to cook it down until it's a nice pretty sauce. And then to this we're going to add cinnamon and a little bit of sugar and a little bit of nutmeg, and we'll let this cook down for a little bit. And while this is cooking, we're going to get started on our collard greens. So we're going to braise these, which is basically we're going to start with an apple cider with these as well. And into this we're going to add the apple cider. Nice and pretty sounding. And when we braise collard greens, what we're going to do is we're going to cook this down, let all the cider cook out of it. And then we're going to add more cider to it and cook it down some more until they're nice and tender for our sauce. I'm going to stir this a little bit so it gets started. So what we're doing is a classic pork loin instead of a pork chop to go with our applesauce. It's a nice pretty tenderloin that we got. And we're going to season this very well with just salt and pepper. And then, as soon as our applesauce gets going here, we're going to stir off that pork chop, or pork loin actually. And how many of you guys like pork chops and applesauce? Good southern dish. This is my version of it. This is a little upscale, as they say. So, and the good thing about these collard greens is when you do apple cider in them, you don't need any salt, no pepper, no nothing. It's just nice and sweet, and it goes really well with the applesauce and the pork chop that we're going to do. This is collard greens. We're going to cook it down. Once the apple cider gets boiling, it's going to start to cook out of it. It's going to take about 5 minutes to get started. And then once we add some more cider, it should take about a total of 10 minutes or so. It'll be nice and tender. You still kind of want that crunch in it a little bit. And some people like them well done, but I like that nice, crisp taste of fresh collard greens. This applesauce won't take long at all. These apples cook down really easily. It's a nice, really tasty sauce that goes with it. It's not overly sweet, especially if you use a good apple cider that you can buy in the store. And your collard greens get that bright green color, which you really want to see because it's nice and pretty on the plate when you do this for family and everything. Another option when you guys do your pork loin is if you marinate it. It's a really good marinade for it if you just do a simple Worcestershire sauce or something like that. It goes phenomenal with this as well. This dish is so simple you don't need anything but salt and pepper, and the rest of it's covered up with the cider. That's the whole point of the dish. So some of my apple cider is cooked out of here now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add just a little bit more cider to it. Is what we were talking about the braising part, is when you add more, keep adding cider to it. It's one of our processes that we use a lot. It really enhances the flavors of everything. All right. So we're going to bring this back up to a boil. We're going to cook out the rest of the cider, and these will be nice and done, and they'll be very tender. Our applesauce is almost done, and then we're going to sear off this pork loin. And what we're going to do to plate this up is we're going to put the collard greens on the bottom, and as soon as we sear this pork loin up, we're going to slice what they call medallions. And it looks more like a pork chop, a mini pork chop without the bone. And we're going to slice about 2 or 3 medallions, and put it right on top of the collard greens, and then we serve the sauce right on top. And it all just blends together really well. So you should start to smell it pretty well now. Everything's cooking. All right. So I'm going to take this applesauce off and let it cool for us. And I'm going to get started on our pork loin. I'm going to get this pan nice and hot for us because we want to get that nice sear on there. I'm going to put a little bit of butter in here for us to get it started. All right, so you guys should hear this nice sear, hopefully. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook this pork loin. It cooks really fast because it's very tender and it's very moist. So we're going to sear it on all sides, and then usually finish off in the oven, but for here we're going to just cook it all the way through up here. The fastest way to do this at home is you just sear it off, sear in these nice flavors, and then you would just sit there and stick it in the oven for about another 15 minutes in about a 350-degree oven, and it cooks really fast. And if you want to go the healthy route, you use the olive oil to sear this with, I'm using a good clarified butter, but we're going southern, right? So. Our collard greens are cooking down nice and tender now. They're getting that nice green color that you want. Our cider slowly going in, cooking inside of them, slowly going away, but it's what we want. Some other options, you guys, for this pork, if you ever want to cook it at home, is that you can also do a nice spice rub with the cinnamon and the sugar as well to give it a nice crust, like a cinnamon crust on it. It's another option for this too as well. It goes really well with everything, blends everything together. I do that as well as an alternative. Another option for you guys too, when you guys do this pork loin, instead of doing a whole loin, you can cut it into the medallions, and then you just pan fry the medallions like that. And it's a faster way of cooking it, but it's also like a way of frying a pork chop in a way. It's just a nice fried medallion instead. That's the way I do it as well sometimes. So I would say you guys need to cook the pork loin probably in about 5 minutes on each side to get a nice color, and it should maybe cook nice all the way through. You kind of want that little pink all in the middle. It'd be a perfect way to eat this. Don't get that smell. Not like a fried pork chop in a way. Almost done. And we're going to slice this up into our little medallions, and we're going to plate this up for you guys. Right now at this point is where you would take it and put it in the oven, finish it off in the oven to get that so it doesn't burn you on the stove or anything. Alright, so we're going to plate this up for you guys nice and pretty so we can see this. So, on the bottom of the plate will be our nice cider braised collard greens here. What we're going to do is we're going to slice this into little medallions. To give you an idea what this looks like, we're going to take our applesauce and it goes right across the top. And this, you guys, is a take on our pork chops with applesauce with a side of braised collard greens. And we're going to do a little taste tester. You guys excited? Tasting? Alright, so this was quick, easy to do at home. Just very simple and fast and easy for everybody. Thanks for joining us, guys.